Hey Core Life, it's Lauren Melton here, registered dietitian at Core Life in Odenton. Thanks for joining me again today for Eating Well with Core Life. Today we're going to talk about air fryers and everything you need to know. But before we get started, I want to remind you that even though our clinics are still temporarily closed, you can still meet with your care team through a telehealth visit and track your progress using CoreLife's app and remote patient monitoring program. So if you're interested in scheduling a telehealth visit, and I hope you are, to help you stay accountable, give your local office a call or send an email to our team and we can get you scheduled. So let's get started. If you haven't heard lately, air fryers are the latest kitchen gadget that is getting a lot of attention lately. But sometimes we wonder about how good are these kitchen gadgets, or are they worth the money? So you may be wondering if they're a healthy way to prepare your food or what exactly they do. So I am here today to answer all those questions. So air fryers are essentially powerful mini convection ovens that are a countertop appliance. So the way that it works is the inner chamber, and they have a suspended basket in there, kind of like what you would see in a deep fryer too, but it allows hot air to circulate around the food, causing it to cook pretty quickly, really evenly, and gets it nice and crispy, just like we all like to have in our food sometimes. You can use your air fryer to replicate pretty much anything that is traditionally a deep fried food. Anything your heart desires, go for it. You can use it to create a crispy coating, like on French fries, chicken fingers, vegetables. I mean, donuts. If you even wanted to make donuts in your air fryer, you could definitely do that. You can also use it to make nut or oat toppings to some baked goods, or add some crunch to roasted foods. Pretty much all you have to do is spray some oil or brush a little bit of oil on foods you're about to fry, stick it in there, heat it up. It's usually between 300 and 400 degrees. That's typical. Air fryer is definitely, or air frying is definitely healthier, obviously, than a regular deep fryer if you're used to deep frying foods. So the way that this works is, obviously you're cutting out all the oil that you would normally suspend all your food into when you use a deep fryer. So therefore you're cutting, number one, a ton of calories, and number two, a lot of fat. And all those calories that you're cutting are coming from the fat. How much of that you're actually cutting is hard to pinpoint, because people use different ways of cooking the oil, or different cooking oils. It can vary by machine, by person. But essentially, if you're using at max probably like 1 tablespoon of oil or less versus like a whole quart that you would normally use in deep frying, you're gonna, notice a lot less calories. And 1 tablespoon versus a quart, that's pretty significant to me. And as we learned about in the fats video, fats count a lot more per gram than do things like protein and carbohydrates. So you're saving a ton of calories, and those calories add up quicker because, if you remember, fats provide 9 calories per gram. So a lot of fats there. So that's wonderful. Now, it's important to note that air frying isn't necessarily healthier than any other non-frying cooking methods if you're heating up frozen foods that were fried. So things like chicken fingers, mozzarella sticks, probably some French fries that were originally frozen to cook them. They're still fried, and it's not as healthy as if you were gonna, have grilled chicken or have cheese, or like make the fries yourself. But that is certainly an option you can do, is to, create these foods yourself and then stick them in the air fryer. So you can work on, breading your own chicken and frying those up. You can work on, cutting up fries and sticking those in there. Heck, we've even made burgers in ours at home, and it's, cooks it to perfection. And it's a nice alternative, to having to go outside and grill if the weather's bad or something like that. Also, something to be mindful of is that if you are going to air fry something, that you may have deep fried, obviously it's going to be a little bit healthier, like we talked about. Be mindful that you are not eating bigger servings of those foods, just because they're made a slightly healthier way than normal. Even if there are not super nutritious. So things like fries, again, your fried chicken, your mozzarella sticks. So even if you are preparing them in a healthier way and they're still not super nutritious, just be sure to, be mindful of your portion sizes and still try more often than not to choose healthier foods. So we've kind of established here the difference between air frying and deep frying. So we talked about it's pretty much a small convection oven. So what's the difference between roasting versus air frying? So most standard ovens can produce similar quality items if you prepare them like on the right baking sheets or allow for proper aeration. Like if your oven allows for a convection setting, you can get a product very similar. However, like we talked about, the air fryer is a countertop appliance, so it's not very big. Ovens are really big, so they take a significantly longer time to just heat up in general. Then it takes a longer time to cook the food because of how big they are. Now the air fryer, like I said, is much smaller, even if it's one of the bigger ones. And that means, in turn, that it will cook your food a lot quicker without heating up your entire house, which is really nice in the summer. Also, this is a great win if you live in a small apartment or a hot climate where your house tends to get really warm even if you just cook something, right? So, lots of advantages of cooking there. Really easy. The only disadvantages that I have found myself is that it takes up valuable counter space. A lot of us, if you're one of those people that likes to have all the kitchen gadgets or keeps a lot of things out on your counter, this does take up counter space. So if you're already tight on it, you might not find yourself using it as much as you'd like if, you kind of store it in the cabinet. I store mine in the cabinet and I still use it almost every day. So it's kind of annoying that I have to get it out of the cabinet all the time. But depending on the model you have as well as the size, that can be an issue with storage if you have a spot where it can fit. I also recommend cooking things in small batches. Overcrowding the basket that you have can result in uneven product and doesn't give you the best bang for your buck when we're talking about air frying. So if you take the time to, make sure everything's laid out evenly, and if you need to cook it in more than one batch, not the end of the world. So just take that time. Things to consider when buying an air fryer. My biggest recommendations are size, number one, and price. So you may have noticed you've seen, air fryers priced anywhere from like $50 to an upwards of like $200. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend $200 on something I'm not really sure is going to affect my life that much. The one that I have is relatively small. I think it's like 3.5 quarts. I chose this one, number one. It wasn't the air fryer, when I first got it, I wasn't sure, like I said, how often I was going to use it. So it wasn't something I wanted to spend a ton of money on right now because I didn't know how often I wanted to use it. And I didn't need a huge one because it's just me and my husband here. So if you have kids or have a lot of people living with you and you want one of these, you're going to want to get a bigger size basket, which typically comes with a little bit higher of a price tag. Now, like I said, mine's perfect for the two of us, and I got it for about $45 on Walmart, and that was a great price point for me because I didn't really want to spend more than $50 on it to begin with. Something else to consider. Some of them have a digital face and some have a manual knob, which can also affect the price. Mine has a digital face, and I like that one because it has preset time and temperature combinations depending on what I'm cooking. So that's helpful. Now, what do you cook in the air fryer? So some of my favorite things to cook are vegetables and meats, as well as sweet potato fries. Like lately we've been grilling out a little bit more since the weather's been nicer, so I'll throw some sweet potato fries in there and they come out perfect, and it takes 10 minutes. It cooks very quickly and gives you the same texture as roasting. And like I said earlier, I usually spray mine with the olive oil spray instead of brushing it on, but it's really whatever your preference is. Additionally, many bloggers and recipe writers, if you follow Pinterest and things, come out with recipes that you can make in an air fryer. I have this cookbook. It's by Skinny Taste. If you haven't heard of her already, I really recommend it. She has a great blog, and she has a couple cookbooks out. This one I got because it's one and done, and it has recipes that you can use your Instant Pot, crock pot, air fryer, sheet pan, skillet, or Dutch oven. So pretty much like one pot meals. This is the cookbook that really made me want to get an air fryer because a lot of the recipes in here for the air fryer are really yummy, and I felt like I was missing out on a vital part of this cookbook. Um, so this is one of the resources that I use, but like I said, you can pretty much put anything in there, experiment. Um, like I said, burgers, anything like that. So just do some research before, you buy one or spring for one and see if it's something that you feel like you would use, because it can really be a helpful tool in the kitchen. And, if you're really feeling like you need some fried chicken and you don't want to sabotage yourself, make some fried chicken in your air fryer and you're saving yourself a lot of calories. Again, everything in moderation, right? So do yourself a favor. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, buy one. I promise you probably will not regret it. I've really enjoyed mine. I use it way more than I thought I did. But if you're looking for any recipes, again, I recommend Skinny Taste. All of the nutrition facts are on her recipes in her cookbook and on her blog. She works with a dietitian to do this. Pinterest is great. A simple Google search can find you some great recipes, but I hope everybody enjoys their air fryer. Please share your favorite air fryer recipes below if you have any good ones, if you've had good experiences with your air fryer, to just, shed some light on that. But I hope you learned something today. Don't forget to check out our cooking demos with Nick and our fitness videos with Corey and some of our other trainers. Core Life, we love you. We miss you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next time.